Hello everybody and welcome back to Rebellious Menstruation. This is going to be a review of Portland, Oregon company Gladrags, which was founded in 1993. Gladrags produces cloth pads, menstrual cup known as the ExoFlow, wet bags and accessories related to menstruation. Gladrags believes in championing period positivity, education and healthcare. They've noticed a significant shift towards menstrual cups and cloth pads since the foundation of the company in 93. Brenda Mallory and Karen Pauley founded the company. However, Tracy Poole has been running Gladrags since 2011. And it currently has a B Corp rating, which means it has been independently reviewed as a socially and environmentally high standard company. I have these 3 cotton amethyst panty liner pluses. I have this 10-inch organic cotton with 2 cotton inserts. And I also have this 14-inch Lemoncello night pad print with 2 inserts. I've used like all 3 of these products in the June cycle that I just had. I used both of these on day 3 of my cycle. I used this one with so I've got hair. I've used this one with both inserts, and I used this one with 1 insert. So I wore this 10-inch one with both inserts for approximately 2.5 hours. I bled through the top, so obviously went through the top wire. The top one and was actually going onto this second one in that 2.5 hour time frame. I wore this 14-inch Lemoncello for approximately the same amount of time, and obviously went onto the backer that I was wearing, and had also come to the, so this is where this is, so essentially this backer sits in here, and so when I had gone to change it, I had gone through this onto this bit here, just faintly, so that was kind of an interesting situation. The way this 10-inch one works is as kind of a wrap around one where you just put them in the inside like this. Most people should possibly know how Gladrags works by now. I'm pretty sure there's quite a few reviews out there on them, and then you clip, obviously now that it has the inserts around your underwear that you're wearing. Just so I mentioned, these little steel clips are known to be good for people who are irritated by how thick some of the cam snaps could be, because they're relatively flat in, so there's that one. But this one kind of doesn't have that. It has this fold in bit here, and kind of I don't see why there's such a small backer. Like, I don't see why this is so small. I don't see why you wouldn't make it. I mean, this is meant to be a heavy, obviously, an overnight pad. So, I mean, I'm a center bleeder, so the insert is actually where I need it personally. But this design wouldn't work out for front or back bleeders. At least with this 10-inch pad, the inserts are internal to the pad structure and centered. However, I'm not too sure why this heavy comes with a 7-inch insert. It's quite, I don't see why you would have a 7-inch floating core out there for a heavy pad. it just seemed like an interesting design to me, because I did, and of course under this bit, this clips around the underwear, so this is where my underwear was sitting. So if I hadn't changed it within 2.5 hours, and I usually do that on a heavy day anyway, so it wasn't so dramatic, but still, if you're caught out, or you're going to be a bit longer, or you don't have a spare pad for you for whatever reason, this may or could cause an issue in when you're wearing it. So I'm not sure why this has such a small insert, and why the insert pad is designed on the outside. This kind of does make more sense to have it internal to the structure, because this can move around on your underwear as well. So it was just an interesting dynamic to wear, that I am not used to having a floating core in this manner. But that's why we do these tests, and to see how it is. It is actually a pretty print, and they are actually quite comfortable to wear, and it was kind of pleasant enough. So these were all soaked in oxy bleach and went through my normal wash routine, which I guess I'll link in a card up here somewhere. And however, I think what happened is, I'm not sure what happened with these, but it hasn't really. These have stained here and stained here. So these are the two that I have worn, and both of them have been soaked along with my other pads. These cleaned up perfectly fine. As you can see, there is no staining on this, which could present a problem for some people if you don't like staining, but this turned out perfectly fine. These cores, which both got blood on, have turned up stain free and fine. So I don't know why, and again this one turned up stain free and fine. I don't know why these stained, being that they all went through the same treatment process. And this is what obviously it looks like when it's not stained, so you can definitively see the stain there. So I'm not too sure what was going on. I'll obviously try again with the stain treatment, and you will see the updates over the next 2 periods, because as you know, we do these reviews over 3 cycles to actually get a relatively good kind of review of, because your period changes per cycle, you change per cycle depending on how you're feeling. What works one month doesn't work the next month. So I will update you as we go along in the next 2 cycles as to how these Gladrags pads are doing. But in the meantime, this is the June commencement, I guess, of the review for American company Gladrags. Hi everybody, and welcome to the July update for the review of Gladrags. And essentially I didn't actually use my overnight. That wasn't necessarily intentional. It was just that this doesn't provide enough coverage with this bit here for overnight, and my period was the entire time during the week, and so I really only wear cloth pads as backup, or in like the 3 or 4 hours at night before when I get home in my shower. I did use this one here, which is the organic moderate, and I did end up using it with both. I'm just going to open this so you have that, so it's all kept together. I did end up using both and bled straight through one onto the second one. As you can see, they have cleaned up really, really well, as has the outside wrapper. So it cleaned out really, really well. There's no staining on this organic wrapper, so it actually was perfectly fine to wear. It is with both inserts in this cloth pad. it can actually be quite bulky. So we'll just slide both of them in here so you'll see what I mean. Okay. You know what? It's been a long weekend when I'm filming these. So it can actually be quite thick when you have both of these in there. It's actually quite bulky with both of them in there. But it's not necessarily, because it's surged, it's not necessarily ultra uncomfortable, it's just really thick. So just be prepared that if you get some Gladrags, that the center, like having the liners in here, make this actually quite thick of a expedition of a pad to wear. So and kind of the same with both of them, are actually quite thick. Whereas if you look at, say, the liner's definitely not. So it's just be aware that there can be quite a bulky situation when you have both liners in at the same time, which, if you want to make it a thick pad, obviously is what you will need. Again, I didn't use that in this cycle. These ones I have been wearing. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I use these. They're still stained. I don't know why they're stained, particularly these two are pretty stained on the... I just don't know why, because usually I don't soak my liners either, so I think I forgot to put them in this time to the soaking bucket, but that's just something I'm going to have to keep in mind for the next time, especially because these ones didn't stain when I did a soak and a wash of them. So we'll see. I will catch up. So that is the July review of Gladrags, and I will see you all in the August update. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the July update for Gladrags. And this will probably be the last part of my update for Gladrags, because I've done I went through June and 2 July period cycles with this with this group of pads, but also I'm moving into state in December, which is actually going to be vastly difficult to manage because of the worldwide situation. And it's also going to be very hard to then, at least for the second half of September, to be doing updates. My cycle in September, or my menstrual, my period, finishes the day before I fly, which is not only going to give me absolutely no time to do my cleaning routine, which means I'm going to have to literally pack my soiled stuff into my bag and fly with it, but I'm also then going to have to land and do my wash cycle over there, which technically isn't going to be a particular problem, being that I'm going to my sister's house, but again, it's going to be vastly more difficult to get videos and filming done, at least for the second half of September, until I get myself set up in another state. So videos after September are going to be a little bit patchy. I am going to try and at least pre-film a couple of videos, so kind of fill up essentially maybe the end of September, the last 2 weeks of September, so that it may or may not give me enough time to get anything done. But in the meantime, that's kind of a small life update from me. But this video and this end of this video is actually about the update from Gladrags. As you know, this is the collection I got. This is the collection that are available. Obviously, due to the worldwide situation, I am not ordering anything from overseas until probably at the very earliest until next year, due to the massively reduced amount of flights. So all of these Gladrags were the options that came from an Australian reseller called Australian Menstrual Cups Online, I believe. So this is what she had available for me to purchase, and so that's what I did. So this is the plus, the medium plus, with 2 inserts. This is the overnight in this cute little bee pattern, and these with little liners in this amethyst pattern. They do come in a lot more patterns and colours. Generally the organic will come in this non-dyed style, and their non-organic range comes in more dyed and varied colours. But again, I think if I remember correctly, due to what's happening at the moment, the online retailer had a very limited amount of stuff that she had, particularly from overseas sellers like Gladrags. And as you would have been told probably in the first part of this, is that this is an American seller, and it has been around since 1993, which is obviously a significant amount of time. This one here, look, they're very comfortable to wear. In case you don't know, this surged type of pad is very, very comfortable to wear, and they don't tend to irritate or rub the crease between your leg and where it starts to get into your vulva area. But with the inserts, it can get quite thick, which is kind of an interesting dynamic. And because when I started using cloth pads, I kind of went straight into, I guess, not pad makers or pad styles that have been quite around for quite a while, which kind of meant I went quite into an all-in-one style. And so this is, like what would be classified as all-in-one, even though these are liners. So I kind of went all into this liner. So to kind of hit a insert and pad type was very unusual and very unique, and it wasn't something that I was a fan of particularly straight away, which means that it wasn't something that I was A, used to, and B, kind of doing. So this is kind of, it was a really interesting way to check a completely different style range out. It's not, I understand the reasoning for it, because you can put 2 or even 3 inserts in there to make it a light, moderate, or heavy. You could even wear this without any inserts, probably as a liner, as a longer liner if you would wish, if you felt like it. Or you could put 3 or 4 inserts in to make it that little bit more protective. So there is a bit more flexibility in how you want to make your and how heavy you want to make your pad. But by the same token, you can just buy these in an all-in-one. So it's not necessarily an option that I would always need to have in a cloth pad selection, because I would just pick a heavy, or I would just pick a medium, or I'd just pick a light depending on my cycle. I wouldn't necessarily want to carry around a cover and an insert, or a bunch of inserts depending, because obviously you can, as I said before, so just said you can get 4 or 5 or 6 of these. You can have multiple inserts with you, and I just would prefer to carry one pad around rather than multiple pads with multiple inserts, depending on how heavy I was on that day. So that's probably, at home, there's no problem with these, and at home I wouldn't, it's just not a problem, because they sit in my storage drawer and they wait until I need to use them, and that's what happened. I tended to use these at home. This is the first time I used this one as an overnight, and I used this as an overnight. What I kind of find interesting about this one is that it is made very long, but the inserts are very, very short. The design of this pad obviously has the inserts being placed inside of here, under here, so you get the center section, which I'm a center bleeder, so this for me is actually where my placement should be, but this is not going to be the placement for everybody. Whereas this pretty much what covers the entire pad, this insert and this pad. This one here, literally that's where they go. So you're not really getting, you're getting a very light capture over here, and you're getting all of your concentrated efforts in the middle. This doesn't necessarily seem the most logical option to me. It would seem, I don't know why the design went from here to here just because it's a bigger one, or because it's flared. I'm not too sure where the design changed to only have this center bit here. Look, it performed perfectly fine. I did wear period underwear. As you all know, I wear period underwear as backup for all of my cloth pads and my menstrual cups as well, because if anything happens, it's just another thing that I have there with me. So it is a very, very useful, and I do prefer them and I do like them, and it's just a preference for me to have it that way. These ones here have actually stained for my liners, particularly when I have strong ovulation. It can get a little bit, my ovulation can get a little bit obnoxious, and I do have quite a white fluidy discharge for those couple of days, those 2 to 3 days, and I must have worn these on one of those days, so they have stained. I did soak them in oxy bleach this time, and I did stain treat them, but they still came up like this. So this is obviously being bleached by you know, my discharge, but it's just an aesthetic thing, so it's not really in any way affecting the way these function or work. So again, these are quite thin, they're very soft, and because of the serged edges, they tend to be less irritating than anyone else. For those of you who are cycle riders and still want to wear some backup, these are the type of clips that you need that will actually provide you with the no, because quite often, more often you'll find that a lot of bike riders will say that the cam snaps here are very, very irritating and annoying. You don't get with that with these metal ones. So these are all very, very comfortable. They're very relatively easy to use, but even with the inserts, however, I do in general just prefer a all-in-one pad. They make usually a lot more sense to wear. They're smaller and quicker to carry around, whereas to carry around this plus inserts is not something that's necessarily going to be quick or easy for everyone to use. However, they are very well made. They are very cute designs, as you can see. They come in quite bright colours, and obviously they have an organic cotton range as well. So all in all, these have been a very positive experience in using them and wearing them. They just wouldn't necessarily always be my first point of call. I'm going to link their website down below. I'll also link the website that I got them from down below, in case you're in Australia and they still have any stock left. That may or may not be the case. I haven't gone back in to look. Thank you for staying with me for this entire review. Hopefully I will be continuing to review after I move, and well, I will be continuing to review after I move. However, things may just be a little bit delayed. Outside of that, thank you for watching. Enjoy your morning, afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the day, and I of course will catch up with you all in the next video. Bye everyone.